But often in this midlife phase, our lack of energy, our kind of sort of slowing down, our sense of low mood can be connected with a bit of, we can find it harder to connect to joy. We can feel a sense of disconnection from others. It can make us want to withdraw, or you can feel like it's harder to access fun or even optimism without sapping your precious energy. And yes, there's a hormonal explanation to this, as Vashmi said it earlier. There's a connection between estrogen and serotonin and our happy hormones. There's a relation between progesterone and the connections in our brain and how quickly we can make those connections, and brain fog and can sap our confidence and create a bit of a, can take away our joy. But there's also this life stage identity shift that I want to talk about briefly, as Vashmi talked about a minute ago. This sense that actually we're in midlife, and we don't see an awful lot of positivity about midlife in the media. Aging is seen as something that's like that's negative, and that part of the negativity of our experience comes from what we've been told our whole lives about how aging isn't a positive thing. Whereas I see it as an opportunity. Like, yes, some doors are closed. I think my marathon running days are over, but I reckon I can still climb mountains. And part of my visualization of who I'm going to be in my 70s is I am standing on top of a mountain, probably in the UK, so it's not a very big one, but that's who I am. And so, but there's a chance for us to think about who it is we want to be next and who it is that we want to be in this moment and how it is that we want to access joy. Where I get my joy from is more about smaller groups of people, is more about time outside in nature, is about being able to lift a heavier weight, rather than perhaps the parties and adventures of my youth that were very different. And so it can be hormone related, but it also can be, this can be hormone related, it can be related to our identity, but also we can feel a bit stuck. We can feel like we're stuck a little bit in our life stage, in a routine, that there's no space for you to cater for your needs, that there's, or for you to even consider what they are. And so my kind of ask for you in talking about this is to go, and in taking you through that little joy meditation, is to think about where could you meet needs that bring you more joy. Could it be about accessing different kinds of creativity? Could it be about finding joy in the discomfort of this change, of anticipating something great that's happening next? I had a client who had really enjoyed lockdown in COVID, unlike many of us, because it gave her time and space. She worked in hospitality, but it gave her time and space to develop other interests. She trained as a health coach. She was developing interests in other aspects. And then once lockdown lifted, she was back to a job in hospitality and feeling like she was rushing and had no time for anything, no time to cook properly. And she got to a point where it felt like her partner didn't recognize her anymore because her vitality was being sapped away. And so we talked about this future planning and helped her uncover what her real needs were, not just okay, I want to exercise more and do this, but actually she didn't want to live where she was living anymore. She didn't want to work where she was working anymore, but she knew it would be like a several step process to getting to where she wanted to be. But by the end of our work together, what she'd done is she had found a new job. She'd actually decided that she was going to move in with her parents, with her husband and her son, briefly, because she'd identified a property she wanted to buy, and that she was making this big relocation, and she felt a sense of hope and joy again. So for her, that was a shift away from not meeting her needs and being stuck in a rut, which is really helpful. And it gave her energy back.